Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something very honestly. Do you ever feel that you know many English words, but when you try to speak, the words do not come together to make a complete sentence? Many English learners face this exact problem. They study vocabulary for months. They watch English videos. They read books. But when it is time to speak, the sentence suddenly stops in the middle. The reason is very simple. Most learners learn words, but they never learn how to build sentences step by step. So in this video, we are going to learn a very powerful and simple method to build English sentences correctly and naturally. You will see how a very small sentence can slowly grow into a longer and more natural sentence just by adding small pieces of information. Do not worry if long English sentences look difficult to you right now, because by watching this video until the end, you will clearly understand how English sentences are built, how ideas connect together, and how you can start speaking longer sentences with confidence. Chapter 1. To build English sentences correctly, the first and most important thing you must understand is the basic structure of a sentence. Many learners think that English is difficult because there are many grammar rules. But the truth is much simpler. Every clear English sentence follows one basic pattern: subject plus verb plus information. When you understand this simple structure, building sentences becomes much easier and more natural. First, let us understand what a subject is. The subject tells us who or what is doing the action in the sentence. In many sentences, the subject is a person or a group of people. For example, in the sentence, "I learn English," the word "I" is the subject. It tells us who is doing the action. In another example, "She reads books," the word "she" is the subject because she is the person doing the action. In the sentence, "They watch movies," the word "they" is the subject. So the subject is simply the person or thing that performs the action. Now, let us move to the second part of the sentence, which is the verb. The verb tells us what action is happening. In the sentence, "I learn English," the word "learn" is the verb because it shows the action. In the sentence, "They watch movies," the verb is watch. So the verb is the action word. It tells us what the subject is doing. Now we come to the third part of the sentence, which is information. The information part gives us more details about the action. In the sentence, "I learn English," the word "English" gives us information about what I learn. In the sentence, "She reads books," the word "books" tells us what she reads. In the sentence, "They watch movies," the word "movies" tells us what they watch. This is why we call this part information. It completes the meaning of the sentence. So when we put everything together, we get a complete sentence: subject plus verb plus information. Let us look at the structure again with a very simple example. I learn English. In this sentence, I is the subject, learn is the verb, and English is the information. This is a complete and correct English sentence. It is short, but it is clear and meaningful. Now, here is something very important that many English learners do not realize. If you can build one simple sentence correctly, you can build hundreds or even thousands of sentences by changing only one small part of the sentence. The structure stays the same, but the meaning changes. This idea is very powerful because it shows you that you do not need to memorize thousands of sentences. You only need to understand the pattern. Let us take the simple sentence again. I learn English. Now we change the subject. The sentence becomes, "She learns English." If we change the subject again, the sentence becomes, They learn English. If we change the subject once more, the sentence becomes, we learn English. You can see that the structure of the sentence did not change. Only the subject changed, but the sentence is still correct and natural. Now, let us change the information part of the sentence. Start again with, I learn English. If we add a little more information, the sentence becomes, I learn English online. If we change the information again, the sentence becomes, I learn English every day. If we change it again, the sentence becomes, I learn English at home. You can see that the subject and the verb stayed the same, but the information changed, and now we have several different sentences. This simple method helps your brain understand how English works. Instead of thinking about grammar rules all the time, you start thinking about patterns. Patterns are much easier for the brain to remember and use while speaking. When you understand the sentence pattern, speaking becomes faster and more natural.
Now let us look at another example so you can see this idea more clearly. Start with the sentence, she drinks coffee. In this sentence, she is the subject, drinks is the verb, and coffee is the information. Now we change the subject. The sentence becomes, he drinks coffee. If we change the subject again, the sentence becomes, they drink coffee. If we change the subject once more, the sentence becomes, my sister drinks coffee. The sentence structure stays the same, but the meaning changes. Now let us change the information. Start again with, she drinks coffee. If we add more information, the sentence becomes, she drinks coffee in the morning. If we change the information again, the sentence becomes, she drinks coffee before work. If we change it again, the sentence becomes, she drinks coffee at a small cafe near her office. You can see that the sentence grows, but the basic structure is still clear. This is the most important idea you must remember. English sentences are not built randomly. They follow patterns. When you understand the pattern of subject plus verb plus information, you suddenly gain the ability to create many sentences very easily. Many beginners feel nervous when they try to speak English because they think they must build long and complex sentences immediately. But that is not true. In fact, strong English speaking always starts with very simple sentences. When you can clearly say short sentences again and again, your brain becomes comfortable with the structure of the language. Once your brain understands this structure, building longer sentences becomes much easier. In the next chapter, we will talk about something very important that most learners ignore. We will learn why starting with short sentences is the secret to building longer and more natural English sentences. When you understand this idea, you will never feel stuck in the middle of a sentence again. Chapter 2. Now that you understand the basic structure of English sentences, the next important step is to learn how to start speaking with short sentences before trying to build long ones. Many English learners make a very common mistake. They try to speak long and complex sentences immediately. They believe that speaking long sentences means speaking better English. But in reality, this habit often creates confusion, hesitation, and mistakes. The truth is that strong English speaking always begins with short and clear sentences. Short sentences are easy for your brain to control. They are easy to say, easy to understand, and easy to remember. When you practice short sentences again and again, your brain slowly becomes comfortable with English sentence patterns. Let us start with some very simple examples. Look at the sentence, I study. This sentence has a subject and a verb. The subject is I, and the verb is study. Even though the sentence is very short, it is still a complete and correct sentence. Now look at another example. She works. In this sentence, she is the subject and works is the verb. Again, this is a complete sentence. Now look at another one. They play. Here, they is the subject and play is the verb. These sentences may look very small, but they are extremely important for beginners. When you practice short sentences like these, your brain learns how English sentences are formed. Many learners think that short sentences are not useful because they sound too simple. But this is not true. In fact, long sentences are usually made from small sentence pieces. Native speakers also think in small pieces when they speak. They do not plan a very long sentence in their mind before speaking. Instead, they start with a simple idea and then add more information step by step. Let us see how this works in a very simple way. Start with the short sentence, I study. This is the base of the sentence. Now we can add a little more information. The sentence becomes, I study English. Now, the sentence is still simple, but it gives more meaning. Next, we can add a small detail. I study English every day. Now the sentence is longer and more informative. But notice something very important. The sentence did not become longer all at once. It grew slowly from a very small beginning. This is exactly how natural English speaking works. You start with a small sentence, and then your brain adds more information step by step. This method makes speaking much easier because you do not feel pressure to create a long sentence immediately. Let us look at another example. Start with the sentence, she works. This is a very short sentence. Now we add more information. She works in an office. The sentence becomes clearer. Now we add another small detail. She works in an office during the day. You can see that the sentence is growing slowly. Notice something important here. The first sentence was very small, but it gave us a strong base. Without that base, building the longer sentence would be difficult. This is why short sentences are so important. They are the foundation of longer sentences. Think about building a house. Before you build the walls and the roof, you must build a strong foundation. If the foundation is weak, the house will not stand properly. English speaking works in the same way. Short sentences are the foundation. Once your foundation is strong, you can easily build longer sentences on top of it. Now let us look at another example to make this idea clearer. Start with the sentence, the train arrived. This sentence has a subject and a verb. The train is the subject, and arrived is the verb. Even though the sentence is short, it already tells us something meaningful. Now we add more information. The train arrived at the station. The sentence is now clearer because we know where the train arrived. Next, we add more detail. The train arrived at the station early. Now the sentence gives more information about time. You can see that each step adds a little more meaning to the sentence. But everything begins with a small sentence first. Many learners stop speaking because they feel stuck when they try to create long sentences immediately. Their brain becomes confused because it is trying to organize too much information at the same time. But when you start with a short sentence, your brain feels relaxed. It knows exactly where to begin. Another important advantage of short sentences is confidence. When you can speak small sentences clearly, you start feeling more comfortable using English. Confidence is very important in language learning. When you feel confident, your brain becomes more active and speaking becomes smoother. Let us practice one more example together. Start with the sentence, "They play football." This is a simple sentence with a subject, a verb, and information. Now we add more details step by step. They play football in the park. They play football in the park every weekend. They play football in the park every weekend with their friends. You can clearly see how the sentence grows slowly. Each new part adds more information, but the basic sentence remains the same. This is the secret that many learners do not realize. Long sentences are not created in one step. They grow from small sentences. When you understand this idea, speaking English becomes much easier. So always remember this important rule. Do not try to start with long sentences. Start with short and clear sentences first. Let your sentence grow slowly by adding small pieces of information. In the next chapter, we will learn the most powerful technique for making sentences longer. You will learn how to add phrases that give extra information and help your sentences sound more natural and more complete. Once you understand this technique, you will see that building longer English sentences is much easier than you think. Chapter 3. Now that you understand why short sentences are important, we are ready to move to the next powerful step in building English sentences. This step is adding phrases to your sentence. Many English learners believe that long sentences are difficult because they think they must create the whole sentence at once. But the truth is very different. Long sentences are usually built by adding small phrases one by one. First, let us understand what a phrase is. A phrase is a small group of words that gives extra information about the sentence. A phrase does not change the main structure of the sentence. It only adds more details to make the sentence clearer and more meaningful. Let us start with a very simple sentence. I learn English. This sentence already follows the basic structure that we learned earlier. I is the subject. Learn is the verb. English is the information. It is a complete sentence, and it is correct. Now we can add a phrase that tells time. The sentence becomes, I learn English every day. The phrase every day gives us more information about when the action happens. The sentence is now longer, but the structure is still simple and clear. Next, we add another phrase that tells place. The sentence becomes, I learn English every day at home. The phrase at home tells us where the action happens. Again, the sentence grows, but the base of the sentence stays the same. Now we add another phrase that tells method or how the action happens. The sentence becomes, I learn English every day at home by watching videos. The phrase by watching videos explains how the learning happens. Next, we add a phrase that tells purpose or reason. The sentence becomes, I learn English every day at home by watching videos to improve my speaking skills. Now the sentence is much longer and more informative, but we did not change the main sentence. We only added small phrases step by step. This is the key idea you must remember. You do not need to think of a long sentence immediately. You only need to start with a small sentence and then slowly add phrases that give extra information. Let us look at another example so that this idea becomes even clearer. Start with the sentence, she works. This sentence is very short, but it is complete. She is the subject, and works is the verb. Now we add a phrase that tells place. The sentence becomes, she works in an office. The phrase in an office gives us more information about where she works. Next, we add a phrase that tells time. The sentence becomes, she works in an office during the day. Now we know when she works. Now we add a phrase that tells purpose. The sentence becomes, she works in an office during the day to support her family. You can see how the sentence slowly grows with each phrase. Notice something very important. The main sentence, she works, did not change. The phrases only added more details. This method makes sentence building very easy because you always know where to start. Let us try one more example. Start with the sentence, the train arrived. This is a simple sentence with a subject and a verb. Now we add a phrase that tells place. The train arrived at the station. The phrase, at the station, gives us more information about where the train arrived. Next, we add a phrase that tells time. The train arrived at the station early in the morning. Now we know when the train arrived. Now we add a phrase that tells manner or how something happened. The train arrived at the station early in the morning without any delay. The phrase without any delay gives more detail about the situation. Next, we add a phrase that tells reason. The train arrived at the station early in the morning without any delay because the weather was clear. Now the sentence explains why there was no delay. You can clearly see how the sentence grows step by step. Each phrase answers a small question about the action. When you answer these questions, your sentence becomes longer and more meaningful. There are several types of phrases that are very common in English. Some phrases tell time, such as every day, in the morning, or after work. Some phrases tell place, such as at home, in the office, or at the station. Some phrases tell method, such as by watching videos or by practicing every day. Some phrases tell purpose, such as to improve my speaking skills or to help my family. When you combine these phrases with a simple sentence, your English suddenly becomes richer and more expressive. Instead of speaking only short sentences, you can share more ideas in a clear and natural way. Another important thing to remember is that phrases usually come after the main sentence. First, you say the subject and the verb. Then you add the extra information. This order keeps the sentence easy to understand. For example, it is more natural to say, I learn English every day at home, instead of starting with the phrases first. When you follow the natural order of English sentences, your speaking sounds clearer and smoother. This method is also very helpful when you want to speak without stopping. If you ever feel that your sentence is too short, you can simply add another phrase that gives more information. Your sentence will grow naturally without becoming confusing. So remember this important idea. Long sentences are not created in one step. They grow slowly by adding phrases. Start with a simple sentence, then add time, place, method, or purpose one by one. In the next chapter, we will learn an even more powerful thinking method. You will learn how asking simple questions like when, where, how, and why can help you expand any sentence easily. This method will help you continue speaking without getting stuck, and it will make your English sentences longer and more natural. Chapter 4. Now that you understand how phrases help sentences grow, we are going to learn a very powerful thinking method that makes sentence building much easier. Many English learners stop speaking because they do not know how to continue their sentence. They start speaking with confidence, but suddenly their mind becomes blank. The sentence stops in the middle and they feel confused. The reason this happens is very simple. Their brain does not know what information to add next. There is a simple solution to this problem. Instead of trying to think of a long sentence all at once, you can guide your thinking by asking small questions about the sentence. These questions help your brain find the next piece of information naturally. When you answer these questions, your sentence grows step by step without pressure. The most helpful questions you can ask are very simple. You can ask when, where, how, and why. Each answer becomes a phrase, and each phrase makes your sentence longer and clearer. This method is very powerful because it helps you continue speaking without stopping. Let us start with a very simple sentence. She studies. This is a short sentence with a subject and a verb. Now we ask the first question. Where does she study? The answer could be at the library. Now the sentence becomes, she studies at the library. You can see that the sentence is now more informative. Next, we ask another question. When does she study? The answer could be in the evening. Now the sentence becomes, she studies at the library in the evening. The sentence is growing step by step. Now we ask another question. Why does she study? The answer could be to prepare for her exams. Now the sentence becomes, she studies at the library in the evening to prepare for her exams. You can see that the sentence is now much longer, but it grew very naturally. This is exactly how natural speaking works. You start with a simple idea, and then you add more details by answering small questions. This method removes pressure from your brain because you do not need to think about everything at the same time. Let us look at another example to understand this method better. Start with the sentence, they play football. This is a clear and simple sentence. Now we ask the question, where? Where do they play football? The answer could be in the park. Now the sentence becomes, they play football in the park. Next, we ask when. When do they play football? The answer could be every weekend. Now the sentence becomes, they play football in the park every weekend. Now we ask how. How do they play football? The answer could be with their friends. Now the sentence becomes, they play football in the park every weekend with their friends. The sentence is now longer and more detailed, but the process was very simple. This technique is very useful when you want to keep speaking without hesitation. Whenever you feel that your sentence is too short, you can ask another question. The answer will naturally give you the next phrase to add. Let us try another example together. Start with the sentence, "The teacher explained the lesson." This sentence already gives us some information. Now we ask where. Where did the teacher explain the lesson? The answer could be in the classroom. Now the sentence becomes, the teacher explained the lesson in the classroom. Next, we ask when. When did the teacher explain the lesson? The answer could be in the morning. Now the sentence becomes, the teacher explained the lesson in the classroom in the morning. Now we ask how. How did the teacher explain the lesson? The answer could be very clearly. Now the sentence becomes, the teacher explained the lesson in the classroom in the morning very clearly. Finally, we ask why. Why did the teacher explain the lesson carefully? The answer could be, to help the students understand the topic. Now the sentence becomes, the teacher explained the lesson in the classroom in the morning very clearly to help the students understand the topic. You can clearly see how the sentence grew step by step. Each question helped us add more information. This is a very natural way of building sentences. Another important benefit of this method is that it improves your thinking in English. Instead of translating from your native language, you begin to think about the situation directly in English. Your brain asks simple questions, and your brain also finds the answers. Many fluent speakers use this method without realizing it. Their brain automatically adds details about time, place, reason, and method. That is why their sentences sound complete and natural. When you practice this technique regularly, you will notice something interesting. Your sentences will slowly become longer, and your ideas will become clearer. You will also feel less nervous while speaking because you always know how to continue your sentence. So remember this important idea. If you want to expand any sentence, ask small questions about it. Ask when the action happens. Ask where it happens. Ask how it happens. Ask why it happens. Each answer becomes a phrase, and each phrase helps your sentence grow naturally. By using this simple thinking method, you can speak longer sentences without memorizing complex grammar rules. You only need a simple sentence and a few small questions. In the next chapter, we will move to another important skill that makes your sentences sound more natural and connected. You will learn how to connect ideas using simple words like and, because, and so. These connectors help combine ideas and make your sentences sound smoother and more natural in spoken English. Chapter 5. Now that you know how to grow sentences by adding phrases and by asking simple questions, we are ready to learn another very important skill. This skill will make your English sound more natural and more fluent. The skill is connecting ideas inside one sentence. Many English learners speak in many small sentences, but the sentences are not connected. For example, a learner may say something like this: I study English. I want to improve my speaking. I watch videos. These sentences are correct, but they sound a little broken. Native speakers often connect these ideas so the message flows more smoothly. When you learn how to connect ideas, your sentences become clearer, longer, and more natural. The good news is that you do not need many complicated words to do this. A few simple connectors can help you connect ideas very easily. Some of the most common connectors are and, because, and so. These words are small, but they are very powerful when you use them correctly. Let us start with the connector and. The word and helps you join two similar ideas together. For example, look at this sentence. I learn English every day. This is already a clear sentence. Now we can add another idea with and. The sentence becomes, I learn English every day and I practice speaking with my friends. Now the sentence gives two pieces of information, but they are connected smoothly. Let us look at another example. Start with the sentence, she works in an office. Now we add another idea. She works in an office and she studies English at night. You can see that both ideas are connected with the word and. This makes the sentence sound more natural. Now let us talk about another important connector, which is because. The word because is used when you want to explain the reason for something. For example, look at the sentence, I practice English every day. Now we add the reason. I practice English every day because I want to improve my speaking skills. The word because clearly shows the reason for the action. Here is another example. Start with the sentence, she studies very hard. Now we add the reason. She studies very hard because she wants to pass her exams. This sentence now explains not only the action but also the motivation behind it. Now let us look at another useful connector, which is so. The word so shows a result or a consequence. It tells us what happens because of something. For example, look at this sentence. I was very tired. Now we add the result. I was very tired, so I went to bed early. The connector so shows the result of being tired. Let us try another example. He practiced speaking every day, so his English improved very quickly. In this sentence, the second idea is the result of the first idea. This connection helps the listener understand the situation clearly. Now let us combine everything we have learned so far. Start with a simple sentence. The train arrived at the station. This sentence already tells us something important. Now we add more information step by step. The train arrived at the station early in the morning. Now the sentence tells us when the train arrived. Next, we add more detail. The train arrived at the station early in the morning without any delay. Now we know how the train arrived. Now we connect another idea using because. The sentence becomes, the train arrived at the station early in the morning without any delay because the weather was clear. Now the sentence explains the reason for the smooth arrival. We can even add another connected idea. The train arrived at the station early in the morning without any delay because the weather was clear and the tracks were empty. Now the sentence is longer, but it still sounds natural because the ideas are connected logically. One important rule to remember is that the main sentence usually comes first, and the extra information comes after it. This order helps the listener understand the message easily. First, say the main idea, and then add the extra details. For example, it sounds natural to say, I practice English every day because I want to speak confidently. The main idea comes first, and the reason comes after it. This order keeps the sentence clear and easy to follow. Connecting ideas also helps you sound more fluent while speaking. Instead of stopping after every small sentence, you can continue speaking by connecting your thoughts. This makes your speech sound smoother and more natural. Let us practice one more example together. Start with the sentence, "They went to the park." Now we add more information. They went to the park in the evening. Now we connect another idea with "and." They went to the park in the evening and they played football. Now we add a reason with "because." They went to the park in the evening and they played football because the weather was nice. Finally, we can add a result with "so." They went to the park in the evening and they played football because the weather was nice, so everyone enjoyed the game. You can see how several ideas can be connected in one clear sentence. Each connector helps the sentence flow naturally. This is an important step in building strong English sentences. First, you learn the basic sentence structure. Then you learn how to add phrases. After that, you learn how to expand sentences by asking simple questions. And now you know how to connect ideas smoothly. In the next chapter, we will bring everything together. You will learn how to practice this full method step by step so that you can build longer sentences confidently in real conversations. When you understand the complete process and practice it regularly, you will notice that your English speaking becomes clearer, stronger, and much more natural. Chapter 6. Now that you have learned the most important steps to build English sentences, it is time to focus on practice. Understanding the rules and methods is only the first step. The real improvement in your English speaking comes when you use these methods daily. Practice is the key to turning knowledge into fluency. Without practice, even the best ideas will not help you speak confidently. In this chapter, we will learn a simple and effective method to practice building longer sentences every day so that your English becomes clear, strong, and natural. The first step in practicing this method is to always start with a short sentence. Choose one simple sentence that is easy to remember and say. For example, you can start with sentences like, "I learn English," "She works," "They play football," or "The train arrived." These short sentences are your foundation. They are your starting point because if you cannot say a short sentence clearly, building longer sentences will be difficult. Always remember, a strong foundation leads to strong sentences. The second step is to ask yourself simple questions about the sentence. This is the method we learned in the previous chapter. Ask when, where, how, and why. For example, if your sentence is, "I learn English," ask yourself when you learn English. The answer could be every day. Ask where you learn English. The answer could be at home. Ask how you learn English. The answer could be by watching videos. Ask why you learn English. The answer could be to improve my speaking skills. Each answer becomes a small phrase that makes your sentence longer and more informative. The third step is to connect ideas using simple words like "and," "because," or "so." This step makes your sentence flow naturally. For example, start with, "I learn English every day at home by watching videos." Now add another idea. "I practice speaking with my friends." Connect the two ideas with "and." The sentence becomes, "I learn English every day at home by watching videos and I practice speaking with my friends." Next, you can add a reason with "because." I learn English every day at home by watching videos, and I practice speaking with my friends because I want to speak fluently. You can even add a result with so. I learn English every day at home by watching videos, and I practice speaking with my friends because I want to speak fluently, so I can communicate confidently with anyone. Now your sentence is much longer, but it is clear, natural, and complete. Another very important part of practice is repetition. Do not just build a sentence once. Say it several times aloud. Repeat the sentence slowly at first. Focus on each part: the subject, the verb, the information, and the phrases. Then try to say it a little faster while keeping it clear. Repetition strengthens your memory, and your brain becomes comfortable with the sentence structure. Over time, you will be able to build similar sentences naturally without thinking too much. It is also helpful to practice with small variations. Take one sentence and change one part at a time. For example, start with, I learn English every day at home. Change the subject. She learns English every day at home. Change the method. I learn English every day at home by reading books. Change the time. I learn English every morning at home by reading books. Change the purpose. I learn English every morning at home by reading books to improve my vocabulary. By practicing these small changes, you will quickly see how one base sentence can create many different sentences. This builds confidence and expands your ability to speak longer sentences naturally. Another tip is to practice thinking in English while you speak. Instead of translating from your native language, try to answer the questions directly in English. For example, if you want to say, I study every day, ask yourself when, where, how, and why in English, and answer in English. Your brain will slowly get used to forming sentences in English automatically. This is the real skill that makes fluent speakers different from beginners. Fluent speakers do not memorize sentences. They think and build sentences naturally in the moment. Finally, it is very important to make practice a daily habit. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference if you practice consistently. You can start by speaking simple sentences and slowly adding phrases and connectors. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to build longer sentences. Soon, you will notice that your speaking becomes smoother, clearer, and more confident. You will no longer stop in the middle of a sentence or struggle to connect ideas. Your sentences will naturally grow, and you will be able to express your thoughts fully in English. Remember, English sentence building is not about memorizing hundreds of grammar rules or complicated structures. It is about understanding patterns, starting with short sentences, adding phrases step by step, asking small questions, connecting ideas naturally, and practicing every day. If you follow this method consistently, your English will improve quickly. You will be able to speak longer, more natural sentences without fear, hesitation, or confusion. So start today. Pick a simple sentence, ask yourself questions, add phrases, connect ideas, and repeat it until it feels natural. Do this every day, and very soon, you will notice that your spoken English is stronger, clearer, and more fluent. Consistency, patience, and practice are the keys to success in learning English. The more you practice, the more confident you will become, and the easier it will be to communicate naturally in English.